Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Dream Chasers Interviews with the Future. I'm your host, Adam Carswell, or as you may see today on the video version of the interview, General Moses. I got my Instagram name on there, General Moses 9. We're going to dive into well, it's not really new, but a portion of my life that I've kind of been building in the background. And I'm just honored that we have probably one of the most perfect guests we could bring on today for me starting to share with you what I've been working on the music side of things. And we have someone who is coming to us live from the headquarters of really where I got this inspiration from in the first place to really start taking my music career more seriously. So on that note, guys, again, just go check out, you see this is my first time doing it, right? So go check out General Moses 9 on Instagram right now. Go smash a follow, and then we're going to get the Instagram of this guy here in a moment. But bringing to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, we got Danny Rhys of Toolroom Headquarters. Is that what we could say for you?
Yes, no, we're live at Toolroom HQ. I'm in the studio. I mean, it's not quite fun seeing the back of the studio, but all the toys are in front of me right now. But yes, coming live from Maidstone in the UK, Toolroom HQ. How are we doing, people?
Good, man. Happy to have you here. Looking forward to diving into the story. As he mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from Maidstone, Kent, right? That's like
Oh, yes.
What do you call it in the UK? Is it a state? Is it a province? Or
Kent is a county, so it's a lot smaller than a state. So yeah, this is our county, which is just south of London.
Yeah. So I had the privilege of making a pilgrimage to Maidstone about a month ago. I had it out there. So actually, for context, guys, Toolroom Records is a record label in the tech house space, which is maybe a subgenre of house music, or some people call it even, I know Danny and I would never call it EDM, but some people who maybe are new to it, they'll call it EDM or electronic. Very passionate about this genre and style of music. It's been a part of my life, my entire life. Shout out to Papa Carswell for all the house music he played for us when we were little. But anyways, discovered Toolroom Radio or Toolroom Records about 5 years ago. I want to say 2016. So wow, about 6 years ago. Fell in love with the production of the show, the podcast. So guys, make sure you go check out Toolroom Radio. It's cool that we got Danny on here today because he does a thing or two with Toolroom Radio. But yeah, just started following it, and then about 3 years ago, I started hearing ads. Unlock your creative talent, your career with a world-leading record label. And I'm like, man, this is my favorite genre, my favorite show. I've been listening to them for years. Like, if I get to be age 50 and I never rocked a stage or made a track that was a banger, as Mark Knight would probably say. I first started saying that after I heard him say it. I probably just would have a few, I don't know, regrets, or like, man, I wish I would have hit that harder. So joined the Toolroom Academy less than 6 months ago. Got inundated with knowledge on using a software called Ableton to create music. Didn't know anything about Ableton prior to that. Did a little messing around with FL Studio. Danny, I'm sure you're familiar with that too. But yeah, Danny and his crew over there have really helped me dive into something new. So went over there, showed up at Maidstone. Danny and the gang, they happen to be having a little Friday fun day.
Oh yes, you caught us at the wrong moment there, I think, but
right,
yeah,
because they're pretty serious. Those guys work pretty hard, but I happened to catch them at a nice little pub break on a Friday where they're doing a little celebration for someone there.
yeah.
So
blowing off some steam on a Friday.
Exactly. So anyways, we met there. Danny gave me a tour of the headquarters, and it was just one of those moments like, man, I know all these people here from just listening to the show for 6 years, and here we are. So Danny does a lot with Toolroom Radio, and that's part of the reason why we want to bring him on here today, but also just talk to us about what he's working on as a producer, as a DJ. He's been in the game for a while, impacted a lot of lives along the way, and it's an honor to now call him a friend. And for those of you out there, I don't smoke, but every now and then I want to be cool and have a cigarette. So I got to smoke a hand-rolled cigarette with Danny at headquarters, and I was like, man, this is dream right here. So I'll shut up now, Danny. I'll just pass it off to you, man. I don't know if anything there sparked some memories, or if you want to kind of share your background and your story, and then we'll take it from there.
Well, so thank you very much for the intro straight away. Thank you so much for having us on the show. Really good to talk to you again. And, thank you so much for making that pilgrimage. Like you say, there's not many people that will put themselves out there to, put such an effort into getting to know everybody behind the scene, and it really does go a long way. So yeah, man, big ups for making that journey over. Well, a little bit about myself is I've been in the music scene behind the scenes for probably over 10 years now. I've been working at Toolroom Records for the last about 4.5. But I've been doing all sorts. I used to work for London Sound Academy, teaching people to DJ, some light production. I've dabbled in lots of things sort of behind the scenes, but I didn't take that first jump into a full-time career in music till about 4.5 years ago now. But all through that journey, I've been a DJ and a producer myself. So that was my entry into music, was becoming a DJ, learning how to mix music, and things have just led on from there. Really, the passion for music has always been there. So it's everything you do around music. You never know what opportunities are going to come off the back of those, and that's basically how I've been so lucky to have got where I've got today. By just putting in the effort into just doing my own thing for, putting so much time and effort in. And I think people have, realized, there's some potential there, or talent perhaps, which has led me down this road today, as part of the A&R team here at Toolroom, and, producing music, releasing music, DJing. Yeah, so that's the short story.
Yeah. Well, where I want to dive in is kind of what was the epiphany moment or realization moment for you when you realized this is the world that you want to live in? Like, you live and breathe it in a way that, I admire, and I hope in many ways to replicate one day. So as an example, growing up, my dad would play house music for us, but I don't think it was probably until 31 now, so probably like early 20s, where I started thinking like that'd be cool to somehow just be in this industry. And then obviously it hasn't really come strongly into fruition until about now. So for you, have you always been a tech house kind of junkie? Did you have a moment where you were like, wow, like I love this stuff? Like, when did it all click for you?
I mean, I think the big click was when I turned 18. Sorry, I got to clear my throat.
All good, man. All good.
Sorry, mate. Well, obviously in the UK at 18, we can go out and we can drink, we can go to nightclubs. I know it's a bit, it's just a bit different in, other countries. But 18, we was kind of fully allowed to go out and experience nightlife, club life. And at the time, EDM, was what we're calling EDM. Back then, it was called progressive house, which is it was a complete different style to what we hear now as progressive house. And electro house, it was 128 BPM, really thumping. It's like classic David Guetta, and I don't mean the
Bro, I'm getting goosebumps right now, because you're making me remember some things about my entry into this space. Sorry,
yeah, totally. I mean, I honestly, I think then when David Guetta was starting to release more commercial music, that took people on a road to the underground to hear his past music, a lot more underground music. And I think he really broke the mold at that point to put dance music in front of people again, and house music and electronic music, and that was very much needed for my era, totally. So yeah, when you like a song, you kind of follow the artist, and then you start looking into what they've released in the past, other tracks, other albums, and it probably stemmed from him. And by going out to the club life and nightlife, listening to music very similar, took me on another road, basically. From what I was seeing on MTV or hearing on the radio, I'm starting to go on YouTube, and because there was no Spotify back then, so it was, quite digging on YouTube, MySpace at the time, and looking through people's catalogs and hearing all this complete different music. So yeah, and going out to nightlife, and then learning all of this different culture, and then going to bigger gigs, more underground gigs, going up into London, into the capital, where much bigger parties are, and where the superstars are playing. And and yeah, just to go into all of those parties and just getting so involved in the music, that was just that was the click for me to think, do you know what, I would love to do this. And yeah.
I love it because once you started telling your story, then I'm like, you know what? I do remember like the defining moments for me, and it was exactly what you're talking about. David Guetta, he had a "Where Them Girls at," and
Yeah,
like
but
songs like
party
that.
tracks.
Uh-huh. What's the other one? Rihanna and Calvin Harris, I think, did "We Found Love in a Hopeless Place." Like that might have
That
been a
was
little
Calvin Harris.
right,
I think,
right.
was that Calvin Harris from Rihanna?
I think it was.
I think it might have been. But yeah, you got When Love Takes Over, David Guetta and Kelly Rowland. I think that was the big one that first really took off in that kind of space. But yeah, obviously the music was always there, but sometimes it just takes one person to put it on the shelf, like, take and get it up there again.
Yes.
And
It
yeah,
takes
for me, that.
all it takes is one person because so similar to your journey, I remember I went to an EDM festival where they're spraying paint from the stage into the crowd, and went with went with
Oh yes.
my went with the homies, and that's when I was like, I love this stuff because if you experience house music live, and this is actually something I would highly recommend to anyone tuned in right now that hasn't, there is definitely something magical about house music, tech house, EDM, whatever you want to call it, live, that unifies people. It's music that doesn't necessarily need lyrics. It just needs the beat. You need a good bass. Hopefully you like to dance. And that's really when I was like, wow, this is what I like. And then Toolroom Radio, which you helped produce, definitely want to dive into that here in a moment. But I remember, so this actually would have been 2015. I was working at a store at the time. I was working at a paint store, and I was running the playlist, and a song came on by Mark Knight. I can't remember which one it was, but somebody that I was working with was like, "Oh, you know Mark Knight," and I'm actually like, "No, I don't know. I just like this song." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "Mark Knight's legit." And then so a year ago, that's when after that is when I found that he had a program that had been going for a while. You're up to like episode 650 now or something. So, um, yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that, but that was like the bridge, right? You find the
Yeah,
underground, and then
totally.
and the vibe of Toolroom Radio, ladies and gentlemen, you got to go check it out because I think it's also the most universal house music you can find. Meaning you could play it at a poolside kids party. Like it's very family friendly, and it can still bring the heat and bring the noise, but it can also be perfect for like chilling. I almost just don't know how to explain it. Would you like? You look like you resonate with what I'm saying.
Yeah, oh, totally, totally. I mean, that's our mantra really, is to, reach everybody if we can. And, as a record label, you have a very particular sound. Um, but a radio show should be, focused around that sound, but also being able to support and dip into other genres and support other artists. I mean, if good music is good music, great music doesn't matter the subgenre, who it's by. If it's great, we want to play it. Because like for Mark, for example, Mark Knight, when he does his all night long sets, he can't be playing his peak time bangers, as people walk through the door. That's not how it works. So he'll play more disco soulful music and more housey. So we have as a DJ and producer and a music lover in general, you do have such a wide variety of tastes, and and we're trying to get all of this into Toolroom Radio as much as possible. We've got some commercial piano house music in there, and then towards the end of the show it could be a big techno number. So but yeah, no, it is literally just for the love of the music, and everybody here at HQ gets involved, and with music that they like, tracks that are coming up that we must play in the show. Yeah, it's a real labor of love, but it's yeah,
it's
pleasure to be
become
doing
such
it.
it's become such a platform for others to shine too. I mean, even an example of how involved you've gotten, it sounds like from you getting there, like you've got this brand and name that you've been able to leverage from being associated with the Toolroom family. Because I remember when I first started listening, it seemed like it was more mainly just Mark. Obviously, there's people behind the scenes, but now it's like you had Maxine coming in there for a while making a stint. I've heard Estelle, who I got to meet both of them face to face, which is awesome. You got different people coming in. Hey, this is Danny Rhys. You're listening to Toolroom Radio, and just getting more people a moment to shine their light is a huge thing that just drives even this podcast. Like I want Danny Rhys to shine, guys. I know we're going to get his information later, but if you are listening now, you can go to the show notes and check out his link to go follow him. But oh, and by the way, London, from what I've seen, definitely for this, obviously this is the headquarters, but man, talk about a place where I'm surrounded by everyone that actually knows the music that I love. Like this is
Yeah.
great. Not that it's not in different parts of the world, but yeah. So um let's talk about your journey with Toolroom Radio. When you first got started there at HQ, was this always the vision or the goal for you for Toolroom? Did you grow into it? Like, how did your journey at HQ
I
begin?
mean, I come on to help out with playlisting, which managing the playlists that we have on Spotify, Apple, Deezer, Pandora, YouTube, you name it, we've got a playlist there. Just to curate, what people actually going to listen to, put the music
There's a
in
lot
the
of
play.
playlists, by the way.
There is quite a few playlists.
How
Yeah,
many are there? Because there's Killer Cuts. There's like you can watch like the last like 6 episodes. I like that one.
yeah.
What do you got? You
So
know what
that's,
I mean?
we've got Toolroom Radio playlist. So that is just the radio shows going to one playlist, and then there's we've got Toolroom House 2022, which is our flagship playlist, which is basically full of the biggest tracks that you need to hear right now. Feel good dance music with a bit
Actually,
of a
didn't know that
tougher
one.
edge.
Follow that one.
Um, this playlist is the one to get your Saturday night going. And then we have a feel good house playlist, which says exactly what it says on the tin. Really, it's house music that makes you feel good. It's not too heavy. You can have it at the poolside, you can have it at a barbecue, you can have it in the car. It's just feel good house music. Then we've got a London Underground playlist at the moment, which is designed for literally underground music. It's some of the tougher beats, more rolling, minimal sounds. Quite bassy tech house music. That's my job, is to make sure every playlist is different, with a different style, different artists in there to meet this theme. And that's what a playlist should be all about. There's a theme there. So I came on to help out to do that, and to just help out with Toolroom Radio when I first started at the label. And yeah, things have I've worked hard here, and yeah, opportunities have been given to me along the way.
Is this going through? Can you see yourself right now?
Yep, that's me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I just wanted to get this up here real quick. If you guys are tuned in on video, how am I not? That's weird. That's embarrassing. I swear I was following you. Anyways, just follow Danny, guys.
Well,
Uh,
thank you very
this
much.
is this is his platform here. Um, I really like. I think I told you he has got a track called Electric Frequencies, and that's actually how I first discovered Danny. I really like Here for You, and what's the other one that you did recently? Spiritual Thing, right? Was that you?
Yep, that was me. That came out on Motive Records earlier on in the year. Yeah, Electric Frequencies was my first Toolroom signing, I think back in 2018. So yeah, it was quite a while back to that one.
It would have
So
been
yeah, it's cool you that you dug into that one. So thank you, bro.
yeah. Yeah, it's on a playlist from like 2018 or 2019 somewhere. So guys, go go follow Danny. So with the program, with Toolroom Radio, the playlist, everything you're talking about, at some point you had to earn the endorsement from Mark. So Mark Knight, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, he is like the face of Toolroom, the founder. I don't know what his technical title would be. Danny, CEO, Big Daddy.
Pretty much. Big Daddy works. He'll love that.
Yeah. So anyway, so you had to earn that trust and respect from him for him to be like, hey, you're going to be the one who is basically the ears of this record label. So how did you earn that trust?
it's it's so difficult to answer that one, but not necessarily, the soul is for the label. We've got quite a huge A&R team here, and we all work so closely together. And the best way to train yourself in music is by listening to music all the time. We're listening to music day in, day out, and that is really training our ears. Just you're getting a feel what's popular and trending right now. taste in the quality of music. This is working, that's not working, or a vocal could be out of key in a track. So we're listening to music all the time and critiquing it, even if we don't even know it. I mean, everybody does this. I mean, as soon as a song comes on the radio, even in the car, you're going to critique it. Do you like it or do you not? Are you going to skip it? You're going to change the channel, or you're going to keep it on because you like it? So you're always critiquing music, even if you don't know that you're doing that. If there's a track that you don't like and you skip it, there's going to be a reason why. Or is it too cheesy for you? Or is there something that you just really don't like? I don't like the voice of this person, or it's too heavy for me. So yeah, well, we're just listening to so much music here at the label every single day, and I think, and just by doing that and just sort of growing your knowledge of music, that's kind of given me a bit, some trust here at the label that they, they value my opinion of music that I put forward to the show, because obviously me and Mark work very closely together on the radio shows. Obviously nothing gets played without his without his blessing. So but he's trusting me to go out there, pick some music to shortlist for the show, and then we'll sit down together and select the tracks to go in the show and the track order. But yeah, it's a real privilege to be given that opportunity to work with someone like Mark and Toolroom, and be valued for what I think is good music, or an artist that we really need to be backing or supporting. And that's what it's about. And especially working in such a big team at Toolroom, we'll have each other's backs, and we need to be trusting of each other. Because that's what we're doing. That's what we're here. We're here providing music for people. So we need a really strong team and to be trusting each other. And yeah, that's in a nutshell.
Yeah. I've been able to see you at work now too. I remember when I was over there, you were going through a few, I think probably demos that people sent you through SoundCloud or
Yes.
whatever. And I just remember like you were playing something, you shared it with me, like, check this out. What do you think? And I just remember thinking to myself, like, man, how does he know when something's a banger and something's not? Because a lot of the times I feel like it can kind of all sound the same sometimes. So have you noticed any trends where when you're working and it's that one and you're like, this is it, this is the one? Like, is there any common trend that you typically see when you
It's
have those moments?
it's weird that you say that. Sometimes they do become sounding the same. If you listen to too much of the same thing all day, then you start to your brain will just start to switch off a little bit. So you there's different times to listen to different things, really. Like if I'm listening to demos, this is demos are generally work in progress. Sometimes they're not finished yet, or they're just an idea at that stage. They may need a mix or a master, or a little bit of help with some A&R notes to fix and tweak things. So that will need, listen to demos, that will need a lot more attention, to when you're critiquing the music. Whereas if I was listening to a promo, that's a song that's ready, done, it's being released, I don't need to put so much attention into that, because that's already out, that's coming out. That's a little bit, that's more of a personal taste, if I like it or not, and the reasons behind that. So yeah, but it is literally just listening to music day in, day out, because you will just start to pick up things, and you'll start to listen to people's styles, and you understand. And if you to listen to let's say Adelphi Music Factory, where they've got it's very fast house music, very disco inspired. The mixing on that track is slightly rough. It's got a very cool sounding mix to it. Whereas if you put on, let's say, a noisy track, where it will sound very loud and super clean, two totally different styles of mixing. So you're picking up things like that as well. A different style. I mean, Toolroom is prolific for very clean, loud music. So some things that sound quite like a real rough grooves, may not be right for us, for example, because that's not what we generally release. But if something is done well, you can't. We've got a track coming out in the next couple of weeks on Toolroom Tracks from a really, really wicked producer. His name's Danny from Canada. Very, very good producer, very good writer. The way he uses disco samples, it's incredible. You have to check him out. His name's TRS. He runs a label called Space Disco. But he sent us a track, not a typical Toolroom sounding thing, but we was like, wow, this is cool. We've got to sign this up. So but listening to demos, it's very difficult to tell people what we're looking for, because we want something different. We don't want anybody to be copying anybody else. We want you to be original to your artist name. Every painter, for example, will paint a different picture, but in their own style. And that's the same with music. We want to hear something that is different, still within the same sort of in our world, obviously, but something that stands out. There's just kind of pushed the boundaries a little bit. Like we discovered not discovered. He was doing incredible things already, but we signed a track from Cheney, I think 2 years ago. And that guy is just different. An incredible writer. You can play anything. It's really incredible stuff that he does. And things like that stood out for us, and we're like, wow, we've got to back this guy. And he's been releasing loads with us. It's very difficult to actually say exactly what we're looking for, but the only advice to you is try not to copy people, and just be original. Find that something that you love. And obviously when you're playing music, especially if you're a DJ, the music you DJ, you're going to be probably writing something like that, because that's what you're wanting to play out. That's what you want to play people. That's the music that's representing you, even if it's not your music. It's other artists' music. I mean, not many people will go out and play a whole DJ set that is just their own music. But there's reasons why you want to play those tracks particularly. So you're going to probably take flavors out of those tracks and put them into yours and in your own twist. There's always some elements in music that you will take away, and those are the parts that are going to shine through, as that's the identity of you as an artist. And we'll pick that up when we're listening to demos. We can kind of hear a trend going with, because quite often we don't just listen to one demo. We could listen to 5 of your demos before you hit the nail on the head for us. So but along that journey, you're going to start to have some sort of identity there that we could pick up on.
Lot to unpack there. My biggest takeaway is the branding of Toolroom is loud and clean, I think you said. So
yeah, I'd say
taking
so.
my notes.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put that on a postcard, but yeah, we want high quality. We want it super clean, high quality. That music that can be played anywhere. It can be banged in a club, and it can be played in your car. You can listen to it on earphones. It works everywhere, and that's what we want. And super clean, high quality music that it's as best as it can be. I'm not saying everybody out there has to make that, because quite often think music gets mixed and mastered by an engineer that can get it up to that quality. I mean, when we're listening to demos, we're not judging people on the mastering or the mixing. We're actually judging the life of the track. Where's the soul in this track?
That's good to hear from me as a rookie, because I know that's probably the only thing I can really focus on right now is the actual track.
Totally. So, I mean, my biggest recommendation is for people sending out demos is don't spend hundreds of pounds on mastering and mixing down. Get it the best that you can first. Sometimes just chuck a limiter on it. If any producers out there, they'll understand the lingo I'm talking right now. Put a limiter on your master channel, make it louder, and roll with that. Because sometimes you could be wasting hundreds of pounds, and then the label goes, yes, we really want to sign it, but can you change all of this first? And if you agree with those notes, then everything you've spent has gone to waste, because now you've got to rework the whole track and potentially do it again. So, but that's what we're listening out for. I mean, you're gonna have to get some mixing ability regardless, because if you've got some really cool percussion in your track, you know, that's you know, like for example, like Crucy, for example. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna know Crucy. So, you
Well,
know, very
Cruzy,
percussive.
him and my homie over there, Ellis Moss, like talk about
Yeah,
that's the niche I'm going for right there. Caribbean tech house, like stick a
right.
flag in the ground, like
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. So that particular style, very, very percussive, you know. But if you've got all of your percussive elements are so quiet in your mix, we might not even know they're there. So you know, when we come to listen to the demo and we might not even know these particular elements are there that should be there. We might, you know, okay, pass on that. It's not quite right. So you're gonna have to have some sort of ability to get, you know, your mix to a certain standard. But a professional mix and master, you know, that's why there's professional engineers out there doing that day in, day out, because that's what they do, you know. But we're going to be judging you know, the actual track. What is it about, you know? Because, you know, for example, you can have a great mix and master, but that's not going to change the lyrics of a track. You know, sometimes the lyrics could be completely, oh, I don't like these lyrics, they don't make no sense, or oh, and I don't know, they're talking about old boots or something, you know, something that doesn't mean anything to anybody. So a mix and master's not going to solve that. That's the lyrics. That's your choice. You put that in. You know, that's the artist that put that in. A mix and master's not going to fix that, for example. So yeah, that's what we should be doing, and that's what we you know we do here is, you know, we're judging the track, not the quality, in a sense.
And Danny is the Simon Cowell of Toolroom Records, ladies and gentlemen.
Golden
As
buzzer, people.
get him the buzzer. As far as your work, I'm just curious from a producer to a producer, how do you typically lay out your tracks when you are creating? You know, I learned in the academy, well, what I've enjoyed was how we started with the drums. I heard someone recently talk about how they always build around the bass line. I found that fascinating because I think it was a little different, but it kind of made sense when I heard him explain it. So for you, when you're laying out a song idea, what are the first, call it, 5 things that you do when you're
I
getting ready to
mean,
create?
it varies from time to time, because sometimes I might stumble across a sample or a vocal sample. If I'm looking for a vocal sample for a track I'm already working on, and I find one that sounds great but it's not going to work for this track, I might save that sample for another project. And when I come to the new project with the sample that I found, I may write around that, the vocal, because a vocal will have a melody and have a rhythm. So that's going to provide the melody in my riff and my bass line, for example, and the drums can work around that. So sometimes it can go backwards, you know. I could start with a vocal, you know, write the bass line to get them to work in, to get the riff and the rhythm right. And then drums to go, you know, it can work backwards. So it can, I don't really have a necessary, you know, a template I stick to when producing music. But you know, generally, yes, it's just an 8-bar loop. And my biggest point of the track, you know, the final drop, you know, the big moment, I'll work an 8-bar loop on that. Drums, I try to do kick, just a simple hat, just an offbeat hat, an open hat, and then I'll work some percussion in, and I'll leave the clap sort of last, because the kick's already going to hit that beat for me already. So I try to keep the clap out for a while, and get all the percussion and the hats working around each other, because they're going to fill lots of space. So I work that way, and then once I'm kind of happy with the drum layout, then the clap will come in. And then sometimes when you've got lots of percussion, like the music you're producing, you'll start to notice a rhythm anyway in there, because of, you know, some the different sounds could be coming up and down. It could be playing on different you know, points in the track. And then maybe there's even a bass riff there for you waiting, because of the way you've laid down the percussion. So there is that. Or, you know, I could go really simple: kick, open hat, clap, and then write a bass line to that. It varies, and there's so many techniques. There's no real right or wrong way. But yeah, if you can get an 8-bar loop rocking, then work into 16 bars, 8 bars, another 8 bars, and in the second 8 bars, something changes. You've built on that. Once you can feel that, you're going on a journey out with those tracks. You're moving up, and then you'll be able to lay your track out a little bit better. Quite often, I will throw in a track that sounds very similar as a reference. I'll throw it into the project, and I'll sort of map out. Okay, they've got a 32-bar intro, then it goes into a breakdown for 16, and then it's a 32 chorus, just to get a bit of a map, and then put some markers in the project, move my track around that, and you're gonna have a track sort of sitting there. It'd be bare bones, don't get me wrong, but it'll be that you can see the track now as a start and a finish point. Yeah, just because you've used someone else's track and a reference, especially in dance music, the structures are very, very similar anyway. All music is written in 8, 16, 32, 64. It's they're the boundaries you're going to work at, and it makes no sense to have a 24 bar intro, because as a DJ's natural ear, you're going to kind of be missing 8 bars there, because as a DJ, you'll start picking up those kind of things, working within those parameters. So even though you've got someone else tracking there, it doesn't necessarily mean you're actually copying them or copying their work, because at the end of the day, your track is going to sound completely different, and you've taken nothing from theirs, or you just mapped out a bit of a structure. And in this day and age where there's so much music out there, that you could have, there's probably like 60, it could be 60,000 tracks that all with the same arrangement, same structure, but they would all sound completely different. So but yeah, there's just a few things that I tend to do. Yeah, no right or wrong way in producing at all. So
yeah, I heard a powerful quote from Pete Griffiths recently, who is a teacher in Toolroom Academy, and I think he recycled this from someone else, and you've probably heard it before too. But it's like an artist's career is actually judged on the work that they don't release, and I was like, man, that hit me hard, especially because
yeah,
I'm working on my first track right now, my baby, and I mean, I feel like anyone in probably in my shoes would be like, this is the one, like this is the one that's gonna make it. And it's a very humbling experience to hear from you and Pete and just other people who've put the time in, right? Like, I still got a lot of time to put in. It's very humbling to hear, like, yo, Adam, like, just so you know, like, this might not be the one, just so you know. So do you feel like you've got, like, what does the Danny Rhys archive kind of look like? Because I see myself as being someone where I kind of get fixated on something until it's done and I've got it out. But do you have a lot of work that you kind of just stop and start with?
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty much like that too. I can't put it down until I've finished it, even if it takes me months. I could have a few tracks going at the same time, but there'll be the one track that I will just keep going at, which is probably not the right thing to do, because I think if you're not feeling it straight off the bat, then you should probably move on from it, because something's not working. Where all of my best tracks I've felt from the start, and I've wrote them in a week, start to finish, out the door. I'm happy with it. It's done. Everything's fell into place. So, and they're my best tracks. Everything just works. The ones that take months and you just something not working, you keep tinkering at it, changing this, taking that out. It's like you start to hate them, because you want it, but I can't let it go either. I'm the same as you. Once I started, so I do want to get it finished. But yeah, sometimes taking a break from it as well, leave it 2 months, starting something else, come back to it, because you'll have complete fresh ears and you think, actually, this is rubbish. I'm going to either bin it, or that's rubbish, that bit's rubbish, and get rid of them, take them out, and, strip it back, start again. So, but yeah, I try to finish things off, but like I say, sometimes when you feel something, if you start a fresh project and you get yourself on a roll, things are just falling into place. You've written a bass line, you're jamming away in the studio, or even headphones on the train, whatever. If you start, if you makes you want to dance what you're writing there and then, keep going because you're feeling something, and that's what dance music's meant to do. You're meant to feel something from it. You're
Mm.
meant to want to dance. Like I know classical opera. You know, in, there's a reason why people are sitting there watching that and not getting up and dancing. That music's not there to make you get up and dance. This music is meant to make you want to dance. So if you can feel that, then keep going. You that's what it's about. House is a feeling. Everybody's heard that saying, and it actually is. Yeah, if something's not making you want to do that, then maybe it's worth putting a rest, or come back to it in a while, start something else. Um,
Yeah, that's,
yeah,
I
man.
mean, definitely one thing I feel like I learned from uh being a part of this community is the value of what you just said, which is like the groove, the vibe, these things that I think a lot of us, including myself, always took for granted. That's like where it all starts. Like what do you want to make others feel? How does this make you feel? And then go from there. It's like what you're saying. I'm like, that's really, I think, how it's a metaphor to really how I think life is too. Like, how does this make you feel? If you're feeling it, hit it. If you're not feeling it, don't hit it.
Totally, exactly. Like you say, you could do that with anything. Um, yeah, it's the same with writing the music. Um, yeah, man.
Now, we're gonna wind it down here, but I do want to know, as far as, again, your career. We talked a lot about the development of Toolroom, and it's really cool to see the direction the record label is heading right now. And my career and my life, like, I want nothing more than to just let as many people in the world know about this establishment. It's talk about being fixated. I know I'm not going to stop until something gets on Toolroom Radio, and then once that milestone is achieved, then we'll see what's next. But like, we'll just put it out
That's
there in
the
the universe,
way.
guys. You know. But
That's
you,
the
Danny,
way. Set yourself goals, set yourself achievements, and work towards them, man.
thank you. But for you, we'll call it, over the next 3 years, your career as a creator, artist, producer, DJ. Where would you like to see yourself over the next, yeah, 2 3 years?
I'd probably like to release on a few other labels. Start getting building some contacts as an artist, and not someone that's working in the music industries. And potentially getting booked for events and gigs off the back of my music, because that's not quite happened yet for me. But it's I'm still small fry, at the moment in what I'm doing as an artist. But yeah, that's something I would like to achieve, is to work with other labels as a releasing artist. Um, and hopefully start getting some gigs off the back where people actually want to come and see me for what I do, because I'm not going to blow my trumpet, but I'm not a bad DJ, so I know I can rock a party.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to show people what I can do, and I just want those opportunities, because I know I can, you know, make people
Hell
have a
yeah.
great time out. So
Dude, I love it. I
but
I'm with
confidence,
you.
confidence is key, man. I am super confident, so
Yes. So, okay, want to manifest this a little bit deeper. Let's name one artist and one gig or venue. So for the artist, someone that you'd like to collaborate with again over the next 2 3 years, and then a venue or a gig that you'd like to play the next 2 3 years.
I mean, I think it'd be cool to collaborate with someone that is very musically talented. I mean, I love Alex Preston. I think he's wicked. How he plays a lot of guitars live in his tracks, even DJs with a guitar, which nobody else does that I know of. So he's incredible. So I think that would be really cool. Someone like him that's just super musical, that can really bring something to the table that's different. And what was the other question? Sorry.
Kind of for now, based on where you're at in your career, dream venue or gig to play at in the next 2 to 3 years.
Uh, I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool to do the main room at 338. I mean, has a lot of meaning for me there. Being London, being this sort of my hometown, I've been to so many events there. And Ministry of Sound. In fact, I'm changing it. Ministry of Sound. Ministry of Sound, because I've been DJing out of that club for maybe like 8 years, and I've played every single room at Ministry of Sound multiple times, but never the main room. So to do that would be incredible. I've been there so many times. It's such an amazing club. If anyone's around in London town hasn't been in Ministry, you've got to go just for the experience. It's experience like no other that in my opinion. But it's got to be done. So yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah,
That'd be a big kick.
I'm gonna check it out, man. I had a blast there, and my firstborn is due in October. Shout out to Nikki Carswell, who's out there
Hey,
getting ready.
well,
And
congratulations and good
thank
luck.
you, thank you. Yeah, I've told her multiple times now. I'm like, we're definitely gonna go live in London for like at least a month, if not more. Because again, just the energy there that I got to experience was one of a kind. And so I'm looking forward to checking out Ministry of Sound now. And yeah, shouts out to Studio 338 for me. That was something that I always heard on the show, and to be there was another moment. We're like, wow,
Yeah,
here
incredible.
we go. So one, I remember in your I'm looking at your profile here, and I mentioned this to you when we were hanging out in London. That brand you got on, is it Amore? Like I gotta find that. Just like type
Ah,
it in
do
on
you know what that
Google.
is? We used one of the in fact, it's one of the director's nieces. That's her band's name, and their yeah, her band was called Amore, and they did a string of merch. Um, and I loved the t-shirt, so I just was wearing her merchandise for a while. But I don't know if they still have it on sale or not. But yeah, it was to do with like their first single, I think. I was like, yeah, I've got to have one of those because I was working closely with her at the time. Yeah,
I
it's
gotta
just
track it
a
down because I don't.
little
You
treat,
weren't
that
the
one.
only person wearing that at London Calling. I'm like, man, I gotta find out more about this brand. So
Yeah, no, it's just basically a small band. So
love it. Just want to give a quick shout out to everyone else at Toolroom HQ that I got to meet over there, and people that you probably see every day, Danny. But like Carly, Mikey was the initial connector. We'll do a DJ named Ellis Moss. Again, talk about the vibe that I want to go for. He's got it. I don't know if Jamie was there, but there's a cool guy named Jamie that I've been meaning to follow up with. He's a
yep,
beast. Yeah.
he is
Matt.
He's from the southeast.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, Matt, Callum, and I know there was like a couple other people there. So I'm sorry. Don't get mad at me if I don't
No worries,
remember.
man. I'll pass on. I'll pass
Oh,
on the love.
Connor was the other one. Last thing, who's an artist that you've got your eyes on right now, thinking, wow, this could be our next superstar.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, we're all buzzing about Cruzy at the moment. He's come from what seems like nowhere to everything so super quick. He's doing all the right moves at the moment. He's releasing on all the right labels. He's playing all the right gigs, collaborating with all the right people. He's just doing, all the right things, and we're pretty super buzzing about him. But in terms of someone new, maybe, I'm going to shout out to the local singles boys. I think they're from New York actually. But yeah, they sent me a few demos. Again, they're releasing on some really cool labels at the moment. They're quite established. Wouldn't say they're fresh out the traps or anything, but we haven't worked with those before, and they've sent me some demos, and there's some wicked stuff from those guys. So yeah, hopefully we could get them over the line and work with them in the future. So yeah,
What was their artist name?
local singles.
Local singles. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're from New York, even Brooklyn, maybe. I'm not too sure, but yeah. The only thing is with that name though, if you type it in Google, you come up with a lot of funky websites. You know what I mean? So
Right. I'm sure they probably thought about that a little bit before coming
yeah,
up with the name. So that's funny. That's why I didn't even catch the artist's name. I'm like, what was their name? So local singles, guys, check them out. All the other names, we just dropped a bunch of names. I know Carly's been working really hard too recently, and her name's getting out there. Carly Carmen. You guys can look her up. So
yeah.
Danny, thank you for investing your most valuable resource with us here today, your time. We'll give our audience one call to action. What's the one URL or place that they can go to follow up with you and learn
I
more?
mean, I should be on everywhere at Danny Rhys Music. If you type in at Danny Rhys Music, you should be able to find me. It's spelled RHYS. a bit of a funky way, but that's how I spell it. So Danny Rhys Music, and you can catch me anywhere. Please drop me a hello, Instagram, Facebook. I'll always hit you back. So yeah. And again, man, thank you so much for taking the time and inviting me on the show. It's been great talking to you, and talking about music, and it's something I could talk about forever. So yeah, man, big love for that.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Danny Rhys Music on all social handles. And you just reminded me. So I still had 20 pounds left from from my drinks at Studio 338. I'm like, you know what? Let's do a giveaway. So if you're tuned in right now, the first person to shoot me a DM on my General Moses Instagram is General Moses9. Say, hey, I really love the interview with Danny. First person to do that, no matter where in the world you are, we will mail you this 20 pounds.
So
So
I'm gonna message you right now. I'll have that.
Everybody except for Danny. All right. Cool, man.
Yeah.
Again, thanks, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Good to
All
speak
right.
to you. See you
Yeah.
soon.
Everyone, remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.